All right, after covering the basic maintenance and what to do before you swing your leg over a bike on our 04 Ultra Classic, everything checked out on that one pretty good. But we thought we'd give you an example of one that's in dire need. As you can see, this front tire on this bike is much different from the inspection we did compared to what was on that bike. This one here is pretty bald, and bald tires like this mean a couple things. They're dangerous. They could fail on you. They could blow up while you're going down the road, fall apart, but also your stopping power is going to be drastically reduced when you hit that front brake. If there's any kind of wetness to the road or some grease or oil, this thing's going to slide really quick and it's going to cause an unsafe, dangerous situation. So what we're going to do, before we'd want to swing our leg over this bike now, is we went to Dennis Kirk and got ourselves a nice new 21-inch tire from Avon that's going to go on this bike. And we're going to show you how to take the wheel off, take the tire off, and replace it with some fresh rubber and have this thing ready to get back on the road. So we're going to get a lift going here, get this thing up on the lift, and we'll come back and get after it. All right, now that we got this 1946 knucklehead bike up on its lift here off the ground, we can get at the tire here and wheel. We're going to take this wheel off. We're going to demount this old wore out bald tire and get it ready to put on a new one. So the first step with this is you want to get your axle out so you can drop the tire. First thing we'll do is get our axle nut off, loosen that, and then we'll carefully tap our axle through. So now we got this as a drum brake style system. See the drum. Always do a little inspection too while you got it off. That looks good. There's not a lot of scoring. Our brake pads look good, nice and thick, no worries there. So now we want to get ready to disassemble the tire. I'm going to get a table set up here. We can get this up and get a better look. We're going to demount this tire and get ready to put on some fresh rubber. So we'll be right back. All right, now that we got our wheel off the bike, got it up on a table here, we're going to attempt to take the old rubber off and put new rubber on. So we'll start by letting the air out of this tire. Pull our valve stem cap, pull the valve stem out. All right, once we get the air out, you can see it's nice on these bigger tires that the bead breaks off pretty easy. On some of the other type tires, the rears or the bigger ones, you might need a machine to actually break the bead. And I like using just a little bit of tire lube, kind of get everything lubed up good so the tire can slide off as easy as possible. Basically, you're just going to take your tire iron, get under the bead of the lip, raise it up. We're going to work our way around. Get 1, 2. Sometimes it's nice to have 3 of them in there, and then you can go 1, go 2, go 3. And once you get it started, you can see now it starts to hold itself off. The tire machine does make life a lot easier, but this should be okay. We'll hold that there, and then we'll just keep working our way around. As you can see now, the bead's popping up pretty easy. Now, even if the inner tube wasn't bad, usually it's good practice to put a fresh one in each time you change it. And it's always good to have a spare in case you puncture one in the middle of this process. Sometimes you have an oops. There we go. Set that one aside since we don't plan on reusing it, but if it's not broken, I'll hold it on as just a spare, just in case you ever run into a problem where you needed one and didn't have a brand new one. But I will test this. I'll fill it with air and make sure it doesn't leak and inspect for any damage. As long as it looks like it's in good shape. Potentially it could get reused. Probably won't, but like I say, just for the heck of it, if it's not popped or leaking, no damage, I might as well keep it around. All All right, now we got to get the rest of the tire up. There we go. Well, old one's off. Send that one to the recycling center. Now we'll see how it goes getting a new one on. All right, so this is a 21. It's a unidirectional, so it doesn't have a arrow telling you one way or the other, so I can run it either way. It won't matter. Some tires you want to really look at and make sure if it tells you that there's an arrow showing which way it needs to go, you need to index it properly. But on this old school stuff, it was pretty universal. Now this is a new tire. It's not really warmed up, which can be an issue. A lot of times I like to always say, take the tire and put it out in the sunshine. Let it really warm up the rubber so it flexes easier. So we'll see, this might fight us. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can get it on without having to take some time and use a tire machine. Down there. There we go. One side's on. Valve stem hole is right there. This rim already has one installed, but remember to always use a rim strip, rubber rim strip. What that will do is it covers up all the sharp points of the spoke nipples and any impurities that could be on that rim to help save your inner tube from getting punctured. So if you don't have a rim strip on a tube tire, just make sure you get one put on. They look like this. You can get them through DennisKirk.com. Now we're going to open up our new tube. These are our center mount style tube. So, same thing, I'm going to give it one more little lather of lube just to get it so it slides. You don't want a tube to bind or pinch. That will cause problems. Nice little soap water or tire lube makes it slippery, so hopefully it'll slide off and go into place without binding up and puncturing itself. Start by getting the valve stem in first. This can be a little bit of a challenge. Once you get it started, you can put the nut on it to hold it from popping back in. Okay, then we're gonna carefully tuck the tube into the rim, being careful not to pinch it. Keep it as straight as possible. You don't want this thing twisted in there because that will cause it to pop. And I can feel that lube I put in is helping a lot, allowing it to slide in nice and easy. Okay, so now what I want to do, before I put anything else in or try to seat it, I want to add a little bit of air to this. I'm going to expand the tube. That will allow it, if it is bound at all or pinching, to kind of wake itself up and straighten out. Then I'll let the air back out, do that one or two times, let the tube get seated. Then I can worry about trying to mount the rest of the tire. So I'm going to go grab an air hose and a chalk, and I'll be right back. All right, now that I got my air, what we're going to do is we're going to add air to the tube, let it expand and contract a few times to get itself squared up. So I'm going to put my air chuck on. And again, what that does is it expands the tube. If there's any binding or twisting, it can straighten itself out. Okay, now that we got the tube We aired it up, let it down. Now we can tighten up our locking nut here with a 12 millimeter. That will suck the tube up tight, snug it up so it won't move or bind or pinch. And then I always do one more inflate and deflate. Let the air come all the way out. And one last tire lube here. Get everything nice and lubricated so it can slide in and pop in without too much force. They can fight you if you don't have them set up correctly. All right, so now start with the one side. Carefully get our tires, start popping it in. And you want to really be careful you're not pinching the tube at this point where your tire iron touches, because that'll put a big hole right in your tire right away. And we're on. So far so good. Now we're going to do the same thing again, where we add air, let this tire contract and expand as we let the air in and out. One more time. And at this point, I'm going to hold the air for a minute just so I can listen. If you puncture your tube or tore your tube, you will know pretty quick right now. You'll hear it start to hiss. You'll see pressure dropping. You want to verify your tube is in good shape. You didn't puncture it, didn't jeopardize anything before you move on. You don't want to get this thing all mounted back together and then realize you got to take it all off because you have a bad tube. And this is holding pressure, hasn't dropped at all, so I know we're good. Now I can reinstall my valve stem. All right. Looking at the ratings on this one, it says it's rated for about 42 pounds PSI cold. Now that's quite a bit for a chopper tire like this, these little tall skinny ones. I like to run about 25 to 30, give myself a little bit of squish to it. I will check it again once it's on the bike for good, but for now I'm just going to put in about 30 pounds. All right, we're at 30.3 or so, or 29. There we go. Take that off. We're good with our air. Get that out of the way. And another nice thing when you use the soapy water technique or the lube, it will bubble if you have any leaks. So right now these bubbles just came from the air coming out as I expanded it for the first time. But if you would see a constant bubble, 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 now you know you have a leak as well. This tells me everything's good. I don't see any bubbling. It's all good to go. So now we can get it back on the ground and button up the bike and be ready for the road. Snug their axle up. Everything's spinning. Front brake works. Now this bike is ready to get back on the road safely. Got good rubber on it. Everything mounted up well. And again, you know, always check the basics before you get on any bike. Take it out on the road. Stay safe. Do the right thing. Check DennisKirk.com for all your needs. Look it up. Find out what you need to get it the next day to you. So I hope you all enjoyed everything you saw. The basic upkeep here before you throw your leg over these bikes. Lots of little things to look at, but don't cut corners. Do it safely and you'll ride safe. Till next time.